Okay, I got all our drums and everything set out here. I've put all the lip seals on everything in here, and all these drums, they've got all the lip seals put in it. This is your intermediate, overdrive, forward, direct, your coast clutch. We're going to start with the overdrive, which is the bonded piston. Put some lube in this and on the piston itself. This one's a little tricky to do. It's easy to get the piston in, but we have to press this down and install this snap ring. Now, if you remember right, when I took it apart, I threw this away because sometimes the snap ring pops out and it comes up here and it causes a lot of damage. You need to update it to this spiral snap ring that won't come out. If you're not this came in my Tugger kit. If you're not doing it, you can buy these separate. So there's a couple different ways you can press this down. They have this kit you can buy. You can put that on there. You can put this like this, and you can press it down. It comes with the plate that goes on the other side, and you put a bolt on it, and you tighten it up. But it's kind of hard to get the spiral snap ring in with this style of installer. This is the factory installer. This one's a little hard, so I do it a different way. That's a lot easier. I take it off the side of the bench just a little bit. And I've got some of these welding vice grips. And you just barely move it down so you can just start the snap ring. Like that. Then take a pair of pliers, slowly work it in all the way around. It takes a little bit of time to get used to how to do it like this, but this is the easiest way that I have found to install this snap ring inside this drum. And there we go. We are in all the way around. That was easy. Now with the overdrive, for the now with the intermediate, again, a little lube, both sides, same here, in and out. Now if you notice, 3 small, 1 wide, there's marks on here, same way. That's the way you want to put it. You want to match them up so when you put it inside your case, it fits down and you can put a bolt through the case, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, we'll do our forward direct and coast clutch. I'll lube up all the drums. And then all the pistons. You want to check for wear on this direct. Sometimes they can get a little lip in here. It'll cause the piston to leak, and you'll burn up your 3rd gear faster. So make sure you check everything out really, really well. Most of the molded ones go in fairly easy, unless you're trying to film, then they want to give you a hard time. Isn't that how it always is? Usually pops right in unless the camera's on. Wow, this one's really being... Now this one's going to be a little bit tough. This has got an updated one for the tugger kit. Push that down. And now carefully get the lip seal down on this. Take your time. You can cut your seals. If you take a chunk of your seal out, your transmission will fail. So take your time doing that. All right, now the spring's in. Now at the forward, remember, it's got this little ring that sits in the piston. That's for it to ride on the bottom of this bevel. That goes in there like that. And these just have encapsulated springs. Snap ring for that one, snap ring for this. I'll start this snap ring. Like that. Now I told you when you take it apart, they have different ones. For the upper and lowers and the tops of these. If you don't know which ones they are, you can mark them or you can put them right back in after you take them out. I've done enough of these to know which ones go where. I don't really have to worry about it. Get your snap ring, put it in like that. What you have to do is we'll get one side started and then slowly just tap it down and around, working it in as you go. We'll get the coast clutch up here, and I got my little tool. Press it down, and you can just push that snap ring right down into place. Nice and easy. Direct. Same thing, get the tool up there. Press it down. This one's pretty easy just to get in with your fingers. You only need your snap ring pliers. Yep, there you go. Okay, now before we get the clutches in it, what we want to do is we'll want to put our Planetary Assembly goes on here. So there is a roller, excuse me. There's the roller you need to put on here. It'll only go on one direction. You want to make sure that the rollers go down. And when you put your planetary system on, remember, sprag right there, or the race right there for the roller clutch. When you've got it on right, it'll go counterclockwise and it'll lock clockwise. It won't go that way. So that's in right. And we just need that in like that to put our clutches in, because it's a lot easier than trying to do it. Forwards has the bevel bottom, directs, coast clutch. Start with the forwards. The forwards have really thin. The directs have a little bit bigger in the center, and the forwards are thinner. It has the bottom bevel plate, a little wave plate, and then your still. Then you go clutch, still, clutch, still, clutch, still, clutch, still, clutch, and then backing plate. Direct, there's no cushion on this one. Direct just right there. We go every other one. With your backing plate. Now the direct drum backing plate has a little lip up there. The smooth side, don't put it in upside down. Now this one, they always give you 3. I've only run into a couple of them that have 3 clutches in it. The only ones that do is a PTO. So we've got still, clutch, still, clutch, and our backing. PTO will have a big gear that runs your power takeoff. They will have 3 clutches in here. This is an updated snap ring that I got in my tugger kit. And then snap rings for the direct and the forward. Now when you're doing these, you need to check the clearance on these. I've done enough of these, I know these are right. If not, what I do is I take a drill bit that I know the thickness is the maximum and make sure it won't go in. If it goes in and that's the maximum thickness, then you got something wrong. It's easy using drill bits because they're small enough to get down in there and make a measurement. Now on the back side of your forward, remember we took off two sealing rings. Need to install the new ones, and they lock. If you look, they will lock together. So you got to get them in the ring and lock it together. You want to make sure the openings are opposite side of each other. Now you have your sprag that goes on the back here. And I always do this, put this on when I've got this done, because this, let me get the thrust washer. You got your big thrust washer here for your race. Where did I set my race? I've got my sprag race down there. My sprag. Now I always do it like this because these go the same direction. So once I've got this together, I know this is right, counterclockwise. This one is exactly the same. They're sitting like this. So we've got everything right. Awesome, now we're ready to hang the case and put the case bushing in. Okay, we got the case on the holder. We need to put the case bushing in. Remember, we took out 2 bushings in the back, and we're going to install one. When you install just one, there's a hole here that needs to be lined up with the hole that goes in the case for the lube. Let me see if I can show that to you. And if you notice, there's a hole right here, and we've got to put this in and have that lined up exactly with the hole. So you got to make sure everything's in line when you do that before you hit it down. Now on the bushing, it actually tells you grooves face forward. So there's some grooves here, those go forward, the solid goes to the rear. So we'll line up a hole like that. And this one we do have to tap in with the hammer. So we'll hit it flush first. I will countersink it just a hair. All right, perfect. Now right on the back here, there's this little plastic piece here. What that does is it has a little pee hole in it, and it squirts fluid on the back output shaft. You get a new one in the kit, so make sure that you put a new one in when you rebuild your tranny. Sometimes these will get plugged. We'll lube where the rear piston goes in, inner and outer. We'll take the piston and we'll put a little lube on it as well. We'll set this high. Sometimes you can just push them right down. Now we need to put, we gotta put the spring in the bottom. We gotta put our race. Now with the race, there's a little hole, and a little feed hole, and if you look in your case, right down here, there's a hole. You can see the hole when you're standing up. Now you can see that little hole right there. That's the lube hole, and it has to be lined up. Nice thing about this is the holes are staggered and it'll only go in one direction. So with the staggered holes, you just need to make sure you line it up a little bit like that. I had 2 dowel pins and I can't find my other one, so I'm going to do this without this. So I usually have 2 dowel pins and I can just set it in there and roll it on its back and put the bolts in, but I've only got one, so I have to do a little bit trickier this time. I've got it rolled on its back. If you look, the bolts that go on in the back, they have 11mm head bolt and they're fine thread. So let's see if I can get some of these started. It's a little harder when I don't have 2 dowel pins. Ooh, lucky, got that one going. Awesome. After you get your bolt started, get this dowel pin out of here. It's a lot easier if you have 2 dowel pins. I'll have to find that other one and make me some new ones. Again, with anything, slowly take it down. You don't want to use a gun on this. The bolts are kind of soft. They will strip, or they will pull threads out of off the bolts. And drop your socket. Then, once you got them down, get your torque wrench and torque them to 25 foot-pounds. Awesome. Now we'll roll it back up, and we need to re-put our low roller sprag in, or roller clutch, one-way clutch, and our drum. This will only go in one direction. Okay. So go down here. You want to make sure it turns clockwise and locks counter. Now again, I roll it on its back again. Now I've got it on its back again. You want to put the input or the output shaft on. There's the bearing for that, and then the bearing for the hub that goes on the inside. We want to put a little bit of tack lube, hold this in place for there. And then same with this. If you look, the inner part spins and nothing on this side. So this gets glued to the case so the output shaft can go on that. We'll put that there. And we'll glue the bearing just like that in the back. Now we'll put a little lube. This is where that bushing rides. And we'll put that in like that. Now, to hold this, to keep this in place, what I do is I take a long thin screwdriver and stick it right here between there and there. Now the shaft won't come out. Now I can put it this way without my output shaft falling, and I'll take my ring gear with my bearing in it and set it right down there. Then we can install our snap ring for our output shaft. Got my snap ring in. Can remove my screwdriver, and we're good. Next, we want to install the rear planet. Take a little assembly lube so you can hold that thrust washer in place. Again, we'll put a little lube on here. A little ATF really would be better. A little ATF down there. And we will set this planetary right there. Now with the Planetary set in, I'm going to grab that sprag housing that we put in and pull it up, because the sprag housing clips into the rear planet, or puts a clip here, and that rear planet holds that housing up. Well, there we go. Next, we want to put our lower and reverse in. We've got our new clutches, steels. Starts with a wavy plate in the bottom, a steel, clutch, and it'll go clutch still all the way to the top to your backing plate. The E4OD is kind of similar to this, but you have to put your clutches and steels in before you put your planet and snap ring on. This is a different style. But you should get the gist of what's going on. Backing plate, and then we'll install a snap ring, just like so. Now there's a hole in the outside of the case. You can stick your screwdriver through there and see your clutch clearance. We're looking good there. If you're not sure your clutch clearance, always look it up. Check it with the drill bit if you need to. We'll put our thrust washer there, little ATF, sun gear. Now we'll have our forward planet. We need to put a thrust washer or a bearing right in here. Put a little assembly lube on that, stick it in place. That goes down. We have another Torrington bearing, goes over our hub. And a little plastic thrust washer, 3-tanged, that goes right on there. Now I'll put a little ATF. Now, just like the forward planet, you're going to need to put the Torrington bearing in there. With our Torrington bearing in, we'll set our drum down. You can hear it went all the way down. We've got our rings on here. There's another Torrington bearing, a little small one that goes right there. Then our direct drum. You can't hold it by the sprag because it'll come right off because there's no clip to hang on to it, so you have to carefully set it down. Kind of start the clutches. Now this outside of the drum locks into the sun shell. What you have to do it's kind of hard to turn this around and get all the clutches lined up on the back of the forward drum. So what I do is I take the input shaft, which is the same thread as the forward drum, put a pair of vice grips on it and kind of hold it and work it back and forth until the clutches all get lined up. Now that I'm down, you can hear that. That's ready. Next, we'll put our band in. Then after that, we put our intermediates in. This one's a little different. Since the piston is above this and pushing down, the backing plate, the big thick backing plate goes first. So we'll put our backing plate. And then the clutch. And still clutch. Still clutch. These are a little bit harder to check clearance on it. I've never seen one different. These all match up pretty much the same. Now we'll put our center support in, which is this that we put together. We need to put our 2 rings on here, and then we have a big thrust washer that sits on. There's a little tab here that sits on there. I'll glue that down. Now I've got a little tacky lube on that to hold that in place, and I've got my 2 rings on here. A little ATF. And these bolt holes go up here, the holes for the bolts go up towards where the valve body is. So you set this down. And again, I take the input shaft and slowly just kind of wiggle this down, and it helps that go down. You can tell I'm solid, I'm down solid. So what I'll do is I'll take, as I said, when I took it apart, you get new ones. These are the new bolts that you get for the center support. I'm going to start these. Just really start them by a couple of threads, so it keeps it lined up. Now we got our intermediate return spring for our piston, and our other center support, or our other drum, our intermediate and overdrive. Now, as I said, there's only one way these need to go in, so you got 2 or 3 small and 1 big, and you can see we got 1 big and 3 small. That's the hole that you'll put the other bolt in. Now what you have to do is line it up as close as you can, and put it down and get that lined up to the bolt so it's pretty much the same. You can't start it yet because you have to push the spring down to install the snapper. Now, a lot of people do wrong things here. They will put something here and they'll stick a bar through here and press it down. That's not really smart. There is a tool. This is an old style tool. I've had this for, I can't remember how long I've had this. Can't remember how long I've had this, but put the plate and the retainer down there, then this bar goes across. The newer ones you get has a thing like the 4L60 for the lower and reverse that lock in here and press it down, which is much better, much easier, quicker. I have one at work. I don't have one here at home, but I've got my old style at home, which works just fine. Just put these bolts down here. And then push the piston down. Once it's down, take your screwdriver and get the snap ring put in. Try not to drop your bolts down the crank case. There you go. Now with that all pressed in, we'll put our bearing here that goes on for our coast clutch assembly, the ATF. Now when you need to put this in, this needs to go facing down, And if you just turn it over and let go of it, it would fall out because there's nothing to hold it in. What you have to do is keep it together and take a good snap ring pliers, and you can fit it right down in there. And what you're doing is grabbing a hold of the planet that's down inside of that drum. And you can pick it up and set it in like that. Pick it up, and you can set this in just like so. And it's down just like that. Now I put our overdrive in. These only go in one direction. If you notice, there's a little teeny zero or oval right here. That oval goes to the top. Just makes it easier to line it up because they only go in one direction. There's that. And this has got two little marks up top. And that goes in like so. In our snap ring. Perfect. All right, we're ready for our pump. Now with our pump, we need to put a little tack lube on the thrust washer that goes here, and the Torrington bearing fits right in the bottom of that stator support. We have two rings. Close them together really good and install them. Now these rings are just Teflon rings. They are cut. They are scarf cut. Make sure you get them the right way. Don't get them the wrong direction. You have to look at them really close. You'll be able to tell which way they go. When you put them on, if your scarf cuts here, you need to put the other side on the opposite side. Just like so. And we'll install our O-ring. The color always goes out. They're usually green, sometimes they're white or yellow, but these 4R100s are usually green on the edge. Then I will put a little lube. Like that. Here I'll put a little tack down on the bottom to hold the gasket in place, and then again I will put some lube around where that O-ring goes. Like so. The gasket will only go in one way, just as long as you got all the holes lined up. Again, a little ATF. Hope you got a squirt bottle. If not, you can pick one up, they're really cheap. Then we'll set the pump in nice and easy, just like so. Well, then you'll take your pump bolts and install the new washers that we cut off. Now this isn't down all the way, but I'm going to put all my washers and my bolts in. And I should barely be able to start the bolts all the way down. Now once you've got all the bolts in, what you want to do is take one of your mallets and lightly tap it so it goes all the way down. You want to take your 10 and take these down by hand. Never use a pneumatic gun or electric gun or anything like that to put trannies together. Go around in a star or crisscross pattern. Then torque them. These are torqued to 23 foot-pounds. Again, go in a star pattern, a crisscross pattern, like you would a tire. We'll just check them all real quick. All right. All right, I got it on its back now. Then we need to tighten up these two bolts. And I need to install this bolt. Looks like I got the thing right where it's supposed to be. These are 13s. Again, we want to just take these down until they touch. Now the top one, which is a smaller bolt, gets tightened to 130 inch-pounds. Just like so. And the two bottom here get tightened right there to I think it's 12 foot-pounds. Okay. Now we're going to put the manual linkage in. We need to put the seal on the side. That's the new seal. Just take a dead blow. Lightly tap it in. Now this is the easiest time to put this in because you can get your hands down in here. What I do is I just put it down, get about 3 or 4 threads put in, just so it's loose and out of the way. Get our park rod. We've got our lever here for a manual valve. Put a lube on that. That slides in. Put our nut on. Grab our 21mm wrench and tighten this up. Give it nice and snug. You don't want to try to loosen or tighten it with this tight up against it. What you'll do is you'll break the rooster comb spring off, or detent. I should say detent spring. Now we'll get our roll pin. Put it in here. Now when I'm putting these back in, I don't put them flush. I leave them just a hair up, make it easier for the next guy to do it. And now, put this on. Remember, never use a pneumatic gun or electric one on here. These are really, really thin. Just snug this up really good. And I've seen a lot of people break these, and you break it, it's a real pain to try to get them out. So, do it by hand, save you some headache. All right, next we're gonna get the valve body on. Well, first we need to put the servo in. That just drops in like that. Push it down, you make sure you can see the band moving a little bit. On the 4R100s, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one you do not put in. Move this over where it's supposed to be. The 4R100 does not have this one that goes right here. Some of the E4ODs do. Best way to tell, is take your plate, and you can see right here, it's not 2 holes. If there was 2 holes there, you would have a check ball there, but there's not, so we don't need that. There is an upper and a lower. This is the lower. It has this little tag down here that covers the bottom of here. We will go ahead and put that on now. Now, before we put our plate in there, remember the little spring and check ball? Well, you put that spring and check ball in there now, but I'm putting a tugger kit in it, so it has a little bit different style. But if you were going to put it in, just take your spring, put a little bit of assembly lube on it, and stick your check ball at the end of it and set it in there. Then, a lot of people don't do this inside your kit. It's a little spring and a filter. A lot of people don't put this in. They don't know where it goes. But if you look right here, it goes right. There's a little divot, a little recess inside the case for it. Sets right there. And that is a filter for the EPC, if I remember right. For the pressure control solenoid for the pressure control solenoid, or the valve, the modulator valve. Put our plate in, and then our top gasket. Now, if you weren't doing a tugger kit like I am, you would put this filter in now right here, but the tugger kit comes with this extra plate that goes on top, and then I can put my little screen in right there. Next, I want to put my solenoid block in. Put a little lube around the O-ring. Install that. Push that down. Now these have the 30 Torx bolts that go in, so I'll put all these in now. Always like starting things by hand. Makes it a little bit better. And then solenoid block has one stud, so it gets one bolt or nut. Then we'll take our main valve body assembly that we've gone through. We'll put that on. Make sure you line up your manual valve. and it'll set the accumulator set on. Now there's check balls for here. There are two big ones, one down here, one up here. And some of them have three, some of them have two check balls for here. I know the 4R100 only has two. The way to check is you can see there's a bathtub here, and a little hole here. You can put your thing on it and see that this bathtub doesn't have the two holes. So there's no check ball here, just one here and one there. So put one in that one in that one. Most kits come with the little papers that tell you where they all go. So you can watch that too. And we'll put our small little valve body on top. We'll start all our bolts. We've got 6 long ones. Now this one and this one are really are a little bit shorter. Let me find them. There's 2 of them that are short, as you can see. One's just a little bit shorter than the other one. All these longer ones go down here. There's 2 short ones, one here and one there. So we'll get all our bolts started. There's my other short one. We have 4 studs to put nuts on. And then we have this little plate that you need to put in the back. If you ever put one together and you put it in the vehicle and you've got no reverse, it's probably because you didn't tighten these. A lot of people do that. Kind of common. Get in a hurry and try to do things too fast. All right, now all these bolts, again, no guns, no electric guns, no pneumatic guns. We'll just put all these down by hand. All right, now you got them down. You want to torque them to specs. There's 120 inch-pounds, or 110 really. And torque them to specs. Yeah, same with the valve or the solenoid block. Now, let's not forget these back here. And torque them to specs. Grab our filter, a little lube on it. Get that pressed down. If you remember right, the other one didn't have this nice big lip on here. It was a 2-wheel drive filter and a 4x4. That wasn't very smart. New rubber gasket on here. Should never use a cork one. Always use the reusable rubber one. And put our pan on. Get our bolts started. Get them down. Again, always do it by hand and then torque them. Never use a gun on them. You can over tighten them really fast. You can pull your threads out of your case. You can break the bolts. And all it's going to do is cause leaks. Then torque them to specs, 120 inch-pounds. All right. Now the pan's on, I'll get it up on my bench and we'll finish the rest of it. All right, with it on the bench, I'm going to put the parking pole in. Like that. Put our little spring on it to hold it away from the park gear. There's your park. Now we'll put our rear cover on, or tail housing on. Down as far as I can. 40100, there's one with a little stud on the back of it. That goes right up top on this side. What I do is I take a ratcheting wrench, get them all down. And these get torqued to 35 foot-pounds. Okay, we're going to put our bypass holes on. The new washers. Like this. There's a little O-ring that goes right here. Put it on the end of here. The rear one doesn't have an O-ring. And start both of these. Front one gets torqued to 22 foot-pounds. The rear one gets torqued to 27. All right. Like I said, I always put little NICs on these. so it won't stick again. Doesn't need a lot, just a little bit. These usually leave a mark where they come off, so you put them back on the exact same spot that they were. And these are 110 inch-pounds. Put the new O-rings on my seals, or on my input and output sensor. They're the same, doesn't matter front or rear. She's got a little teeny 8mm bolts. And if you run them down with a gun, you probably will break them. So, to be safe, 110 inch-pounds. Our bracket. We can use a gun on this. Remember the little plastic piece we took off? We'll put this back on. And then we'll roll it this way and put our mount on it. Put our training mat on it. They actually say rear on it for which way they face, so the rear goes towards the back, of course. But I still see people putting these on backwards. All right, one more thing. Roll it around here. There is a little ring that goes right here for your clutch, for your torque converter. And then we have our input shaft. Again, a little ATF. Don't want to put anything together dry. And it only goes in one way. There's the short and the long. The longer one goes in the back because there's two bushings. Just like that. Well, there you have it. That's the 4R100 for you. Hope I helped you out on this. Hope you enjoyed this video. Took a little while to make, but that's all right. We don't mind. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.